I'm Darian Alexis, and welcome to a 20-something survival guide, the place where you and me learn to survive and thrive in our 20s and beyond. Sit back, relax, and enjoy the episode. School is back in session, so it's time to talk about making the most out of our college experience. Today, I'm joined with Rece and Felicia, two college students in their first year of their master's program. Rece is studying to become a prosthetist, and Felicia is studying to become a physical therapist. So now I'm going to turn it over to y'all and just tell us a little bit about yourselves.
Hi everyone, my name is Rece. I am a first-year graduate student studying prosthetics and orthotics, and I am a native from San Diego, born and raised. So I came all the way from San Diego to Connecticut to go to school, and I'm 22 years old.
Hi everyone, I'm Felicia. I'm getting my doctorate in physical therapy, and I'm born and raised in New York City in Manhattan. Oh, I'm 21. Yeah.
Can you guys talk a little bit about your college journeys and why did you decide to go to grad school?
So when I was a senior in high school, I really had no idea what I wanted to do. I know I wanted to go into the medical field, but I didn't want to be a doctor or a nurse, and there's about 1,000 other things you can choose in there. And my uncle is actually an amputee. He lost his leg in a motorcycle accident, and so I was invited to go shadow at the clinic where he's a patient. And I had so much fun. I love the hands-on stuff I get to do. I get to obviously make and design these devices that my patients are using. I get patient care, lab work, and I think it's really awesome to meet somebody and I just get to really help improve their quality of life and help them participate in all the things that, they want to get to do in life.
Yeah, I mean, basically similar, but my pipeline is different. So I was a pre-professional dancer my whole life. I did ballet for the most part, and then I went into different fields of dance as I was in high school and just doing a bunch of different things. I was auditioning for companies and got injured, and I got treated at a physical therapy clinic in Manhattan called the Harkness Center for Dance Injuries, and I was treated by an ex-ballerina, and I was like, that's what I want to do. So I started looking for programs that had the dance and the physical therapy exercise science component. And I found a university that fit both of those and has one of the top dance programs. So I minored in dance and I majored in physical therapy. So my goal is to be a physical therapist in the dance medicine realm, and then hopefully open up my own practice for dancers.
When we're thinking about college, I feel like a lot of people are most scared about it because they don't know how to make friends. I know you two are friends. So what is the number one way that you feel that you have made friends on campus?
I've had a different experience than she has. I was in Greek life. So for me, I think a big part of my social world when it came to undergrad was Greek life based, but we're a part of a ton of different clubs too. So ambassador programs, dancing, and I was a part of our Jewish life on campus as well. So those different outlets is where I found my base group of people, but Greek life was definitely a major one for me.
I definitely would say when you're going to college, and all universities have this, is at the beginning of each semester, they have a club fair, and you should definitely go and just sign up and go to clubs. Even if you're not really interested and you have no interest in staying in the club, it's still a great way to meet people. And my other thing that I tell incoming students is, while it's very cheesy and kind of awkward, if you're sitting in a class and you're sitting next to somebody and you're like, I could see you being a friend, like a outside of class friend, just hey, it's lunchtime. Do you want to go to the dining hall after this and we can go grab a bite to eat? Or do you want to study later together? Because usually the studying morphs into getting to know somebody, and then you can be outside of class friends. So definitely join clubs. And the worst thing somebody can say is, no, I have class, or I have plans, or I'm not hungry. It's okay to be shot down. Just put yourself out there.
Oh, 100%. And that's how I met her. We met through a job, but I met her and I was like, you're really cool. You're my kind of person. We're going to go do yoga. We haven't yet, but that's how we met. It was the whole yoga Pilates vibe.
That's so true.
Yeah.
That's so true.
And so
that's so cute. Helps. I love that. That's how I met my friends. So one set of my friends, I also met from working with them, and we were just on the shifts together, and we were like, hey, we should all go to spring break together. So we just formed a friendship. And then my other set of friends, we were all in the same classes, and we're like, let's just all get lunch together so we don't have to sit alone. And so we built friendships that way. Next, can you guys share a memorable story about how your involvement either in Greek life or some of the clubs on campus led to significant personal and or professional growth?
So much. There's so much. Okay. So I took like I took a major position in Greek life, and I was vice president of activities and programming for our university, and that held a lot of responsibility, especially since like we're coming out of COVID, and so a lot of things are different. A lot of things pre-COVID were either not reinstated or needed to be reinstated. So that was a big learning curve for me, was just getting everyone motivated to do things. Because a lot of the time people were like, I don't want to do that, or that sounds boring and not fun. I'm like, if you think it's going to be boring and not fun, then it will be boring and not fun. Like, you have to have some sort of want to be there. And if you're like for Greek life specifically, you're paying to be there. Why are you going to be a lame little loser? Like, do the things that like you're there to do. I don't know. That's just my perspective on it. So like that was a big experience and like growing experience for me as a person, especially in like a huge position for leadership wise, I think is the best way to explain that.
For sure.
I don't know.
I think my job on campus, like we've kind of mentioned, we're ambassadors. And I think that this has made me much more social, and this is kind of random, but like independent. I'm already a pretty independent person.
Independent queen.
Yes. But just kind of like part of my job is getting tours of like this one building that we have, our very like new
fancy.
Yeah, our fancy technological health science building. And it's very, I don't know, like you're told to do something and it's kind of up to you to figure out how to do the tour and give it by yourself. And I've been doing those all summer. So I definitely think it makes me more independent. And I talk to a lot of parents and incoming students, and the parents always have 1,000 more questions than the students. So being able to interact with adults.
That's awesome. So it sounds like getting involved on campus isn't just for making friends. It sounds like you are getting to develop your independence. Is there any other things that you feel like getting involved has helped you with in your college experience?
The independent thing for me has been the driving aspect. Like for anyone who's like going from living in a city to going somewhere in a closed campus that's very suburban, it has been a really big jump for my independence, because I got my license sophomore year of college, so super late, and then didn't drive on a highway up until like 3 months ago. And I went to Rhode Island, and that was like a big highway trip for me. That was 2.5 hours. So that has been a big jump for like my personal independent growth, which I think a lot of people can relate, especially coming from like city into something new.
I definitely think networking for me with my professors, we are a very small field. Prosthetics and orthotics, there are more physical therapists in the state of Connecticut than there are prosthetists, orthotists nationwide. So we are a very small field, and everyone knows everyone. Even like the clinic that I shadow in San Diego, 3 of the clinicians there are graduates from my program here on the East Coast.
No way.
Definitely a lot of overlaps. Yeah. So it's very important to be able to make good connections, because everybody really does know everybody. And if you have a reputation one place, somebody across the country is going to know this
100% carries on.
So definitely recently I've started kind of networking more with one of my professors who I did not know well. We went to volunteer at a camp. It's called Camp No Limits. And I was chatting with him, and I brought up the idea of implementing a first year social media coordinator, and was chatting with him about that. And he was like, yeah, sure, that's a great idea. I love it. And I also got to network with somebody that owns and started an upper extremity prosthetic company, which was really cool. I felt like a big girl networking and like asking about his products and how they help people. And he showed me how to attach them and all the different like styles that he had. So that was pretty cool. I kept his like business card for the future, and that was fun.
That's awesome. So do either of you have any strategies the listeners can use to help them build out their network?
I feel like take what we said before for like finding friends and like being social on campus is also the same thing when it comes to networking, putting yourself out there, going to clubs and different programs and speakers that are relating to the field that you want to be in. So a big thing for PT in my university, we go to the New England ACSM conference that happens somewhere in New England. And we do that once a year, and we have to go, like, it's a part of our grade. But I think it's really cool because then you get to see all these speakers that talk about different parts of the field, research that they're doing, talk to people, get people's business cards, internship opportunities, stuff like that. And that, if your university builds it in, that's great, but also doing your own work and figuring out what you could do in the area that builds up your resume and your networking.
I definitely think one of the things that helps me is, one, always be kind and respectful. And I think a lot of people our age that we've noticed, like especially in our classes, like the way they speak to professors and people in their field is just not
appropriate at all.
Definitely, we are kind of getting into the point where it's not as much as a teacher-student relationship. It's a little bit more like peers, but they still at the end of the day are grading your stuff, and they have 30 years of clinical experience as to your 0. So definitely remaining respectful of them and recognizing that, yeah, they know way more than you do. And also definitely engaging them with whatever they're interested in. Like our professors, they all have their own clinical practice that they do, as well as their own research opportunities. And even if the research is not something you're super into, it might be really boring to you, definitely engaging with them and asking them about it helps them remember you. If you seem to be excited about what they're doing, they're going to want to keep talking to you because it's definitely something that they want to talk about.
Okay, a major thing for networking is being memorable and being someone that people remember by something that you said. So like for us, we're big, I guess, faces for our program because of what we do work-wise. And so I had a professor come up to me the first week, and she came up to me and she was learning everyone's name that was sitting at the table, and she goes, "Oh, Felicia. I've never met her before. We've never talked at all." And after that moment, I was like, "Hi, like, I don't think we've actually met before. Like, how'd you know my name?" She goes, "You went your undergrad, right?" I was like, "Yeah." And she goes, "That's probably why." And I was like, "Okay." So being in people's like minds and knowing that they know you is a great way to continue relationships. But
one other thing, and I do this in my personal life, my parents have like always raised me to do this, and I've definitely brought it over into my academic and professional life, is writing thank you cards. If somebody does something nice for you, handwrite them a thank you card and mail it to them. So I just had a professor write me a letter of recommendation for a scholarship, thank you card. I had the professor I mentioned at Camp No Limits, he took us out to lunch, thank you card. If a professor does anything above and beyond, thank you card.
Yeah, I have personalized, I mean, you don't have to go this far, but like I have personalized stationery, and every time I run out, I buy a new set because I think, I mean, my mom taught me that too. Yeah. I mean, for my bat mitzvah, I had to write thank you cards to every single person that attended. And so
I love that is not a lost art. I think that goes so far. And I think all of those tips are absolutely amazing. And even if you're in your undergrad, I think it just goes so far to go up to faculty members and introduce yourself and actually attend their office hours. They have them for a reason. They're there to help you, and they're there to be a good resource to network with, even if you decide not to go into that field in the future. Switching gears here, I want to talk about organization and time management because I think that's another thing a lot of students can struggle with when trying to balance your social life, your job, your classes, especially when you're in grad school. So what are some effective strategies for staying organized and managing your time effectively?
A planner.
That's what I was going to say. Definitely get a planner. Plan out the things that you have to accomplish in a day, things that you would like to accomplish, and things that maybe can be put off till the next day or the weekend. Definitely planning out exactly what needs to be accomplished by the time you go to sleep in a day is really important. And personally, I have fallen a little bit into like the social media trap. I'll open my phone and I'll get stuck there. Just set time like constraints on your phone.
Yeah,
I'm
the
not
screen
saying
time.
You should never open your phone, but limiting your screen time and having like a check in place so that you can't get stuck in
mindlessly scroll.
Get stuck in the scroll is really helpful.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think for my planner specifically, having the calendar being huge, don't get like the little tiny ones, get the big one. That will be super helpful. And then the first day of every month, go through syllabi, write down every due date. I don't care how small the due date is. If it's just like a weekly quiz, write it in. It makes your life so much easier when you get that done. I usually do that like the beginning of every semester. But if you are a month to month person, do it at the beginning of every month. It's just a way to keep your head less cluttered. You're learning so much all the time. You don't need to worry about due dates. Have that written down and then out of your mind.
Do either of you use any like digital planning systems or your phone for reminders as well? Or do you typically like to just write things down?
I find technology not to be super reliable. Like, I find something always goes wrong and I get worried that I'm going to forget something. My reminders on my phone never work for me. I don't know why. And then for like online calendar stuff, if you're an incoming undergrad, use free college schedule maker. That has been like my favorite thing to do at the beginning of every schedule. It maps it out beautifully. You can label everything. It has a place for your professor, the class of like where it's in, the time that it's going to be set for, and you could color code it all. So that's something that I think my freshman advisor showed all of us, and it's been the best thing. But that's the only electronicization, thank you, that I use. Oh
I am actually actually I'm not really a technological person, but I do love my iPad, and I have a planner on my iPad. It's not actually a planner; it's just like a template that I have in Notability, but it has like my to-dos, my emergent things that I need to get done, and a time scheduled like slot sheet, I guess, that I can fill out with my day. Um, I also, for really important things, I'll set timers on my phone and just name it whatever I have to do. And at the beginning of the semester, I also put all of my assignments into an Excel sheet and I color code it based on the class with due dates. And then once it's done, you just check it off.
Love that. That's a great tip. And so, since we're talking about organizing things, do you guys ever schedule one, self care, or two, social time? Like, you're studying so much, you're doing so many things. How are you making sure that you get that time with your friends and that alone time?
Yes. For me personally, we are in class Mondays through Thursdays, and because of the amount of content we're taking in, right now we're in gross anatomy with our labs and kinesiology, which is hefty material. We also have to dedicate a good majority of our weekends to studying. So personally for me, a Friday, I don't do anything school related. That is my one day a week that I know that I'm not doing anything school related. And I like Sundays to be a little bit slower, and I'll do more passive work on Sundays that is not like really engaging. And I also do my nails once a week,
Oh
typically
my
Sundays or
gosh.
Mondays.
That's amazing. I
Yeah,
haven't
right
done my
now
nails
right now
in
they're green,
weeks.
and I have cute little
Cute.
flowers on them. So that is my like number one self care thing that I do every single week, no matter what. It makes me feel pretty and put together, and it's something that I do for myself.
We do cadaver labs, which is, if you know what cadaver is, then you know. If not, you can look it up. But we can't, like, you can't have long nails doing that. So I had to say bye bye to the acrylic. So now I'm getting into the groove of painting them. But it's really nice. It's very calming, and like you could just put on. I'm watching Gossip Girl right now for like the 18,000th time. So I just put that on and zone away.
I was in college. I feel like I was always going. I don't think I took self care as serious as I do now. So I'm glad to hear that you guys both take that seriously and are prioritizing wellness. Something that I started implementing too in college was a workout routine. When I was in high school, I was so active. And then when I got to college, I
Mm-hmm.
just felt like I was sitting there and eating.
Actually, totally relate. I was a competitive dancer and a cheerleader and gymnast in high school, and then COVID hit, and we were all at home all the time, and I totally like stopped working out aggressively, and it was really hard to get back into in college. I've had the recent realization that some background, most people that come to me as a patient have diabetes or cardiovascular issues, and a lot of them have to make lifestyle changes. You can't like tell somebody to do something and change their behavior and lifestyle if you're not also doing it.
Yeah.
I have rededicated myself to working out.
I think it's really, really good during these years in your life to start implementing wellness and fitness into your routine. Because then when you're like
Yes.
me, like an old fart, just kidding, I'm 25, then it just becomes second nature. So if you start building
Yeah.
those like habits now, because this is like the first time you're like kind of like away from your family. I know you guys have been for a few years because you're in grad school, but it is like so imperative to help you out when you have a full-time job and the future. Felicia, do you have any tips or any tea you want to
Yeah, I
spill?
agree. I was like Rece, I was a dancer my whole life. So, but I minored in dance. So I
So you're
had
still
that throughout my
dancing.
whole undergrad. And then,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, so I've been dancing up until about like a month ago is really when I just stopped for a little bit, but I'm planning on getting Pilates certified. So that's kind of my next step in like continuing in wellness and like for myself. Yeah, I'm very excited.
I actually did that
That's
last spring. I
awesome.
went to Pilates on Thursdays every single week, and that was like really good
It's so
for
fun.
self care and also staying in shape and being healthy. I definitely suggest that you find out what works for you.
Hmm.
If you really hate running, then don't try to be a runner. And if you
For
really hate
sure.
lifting weights, then sign
Don't
up for
lift.
like yoga and Pilates. Go take a Zumba class. Like definitely do what works for you. And like
Yes.
any form of movement is better than no movement.
Yeah, like walking on the treadmill for 30 minutes, like people will be like, that's not working out, but you're moving your body, you're getting your heart rate up, you're doing something that makes you feel good. My motivation for the gym is to listen to music. If there's a new album that came out, I will be walking on the treadmill. Like that is what gets me to go to the gym. I'm not a gym person because of my dancer background. So I think finding what, like you said, finding what makes you happy and what fits your lifestyle.
I agree. And so many colleges are so different in what they offer in terms of classes and stuff. The school I went to, it was a bigger school. We had the coolest gym ever. There was like a rock wall in there. They offered every single class
Oh
under
my
the
God.
sun. And you're paying for these facilities when you're going to school. So it is going to
Uh-huh.
be different depending on where you are going to your undergrad or your grad, but take advantage of every single opportunity that they give to you, whether it's the gym, whether it's going to the free like little festivals that they have, whether it's going to the clubs, like do everything, take advantage of everything. Sticking like still with organization, what are some tips for creating a study routine that works, and how can students find the best places to study on campus?
I definitely think finding the best place to study will arise once you kind of know what you're how you like to study. If you like to be in big groups, then that's definitely going to impact where you study versus if you want to be an independent worker. Personally, for me, I can study anywhere that has a whiteboard. That is my favorite and best way to learn. I always have whiteboard markers in my backpack. For me personally, in the material that we cover, repetition is key. So just writing things on the whiteboard until you have it
Yeah.
like cemented in your mind is definitely helpful. But I know that that does not work for a lot of people, and they would rather label or do flashcards or Quizlet. As a freshman, that is your time to kind of explore and experiment different study styles and tips, and maybe realize, oh, I can't study in a group, or I'm not self motivated or focused enough to study by myself.
That's fair. Do not study in your room. That's like my number one tip. Like, because your dorm is so small, it's one room, your bed becomes the place you sleep, the place you hang out, the place you watch movies, the place you study. If you start creating that habit that it's your couch and your bed, then you're going to want to sleep while you study, and that's not going to be very productive.
Or
So,
maybe like, excuse my language, half-ass studying.
yeah,
And it's like you're like flipping through stuff, but you're not actually like
retaining any information.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So, pick the place that makes you happy. Like, I love studying in cafes because I like people watching in between breaks. I like having an atmosphere of people that are all also doing work or on little coffee breaks, and I just enjoy that atmosphere. I know some people can't do noise while they work, but that's something that works for me.
I definitely like piggybacking off that a little bit is at least as a freshman when you don't have a real apartment and it's just one room, um, I would say the best way to kind of make sure your studying is effective is that I would not do any work in my room. When I was doing like academic stuff, I was on the academic side of campus. And then when I crossed over into the residential side, that was when I socialized and ate and relaxed. And did
That's so smart. I did
Yeah.
not do that.
I think that you guys are giving some really good advice, and I think that a lot of the listeners are really going to relate to what you're saying.
My last tip is that when you look good, you
Feel good.
and you feel more motivated to do stuff.
100%.
If you're pulling up in sweats consistently every single day, you're going to feel lazy and slouchy and you're not going to want to get shit done.
She's always showing up in like these pastel colored fits, and it's like, I remember the main one where I was like, that yes, it's the pink overalls that got me. I was like, she's in a good mood, she's gonna get everything done today. Yeah, no, I'm consistently in sweatpants, but that's because I'm just It depends. If I'm going to study, I will dress up. And that's just like something I've
look
noticed.
good, feel good, feel motivated.
Honestly, that will help you to transition into your career, because unfortunately for your
Oh,
career, a lot of times
100%.
you do have to be dressing up. You don't necessarily have to do your makeup and hair if you don't want to. That's a personal preference, but at least you want to dress to impress for at least the first week, you know? So if you can start to build the routine to make yourself feel good. You just look however you want to look. That is going to make you feel good, is going to help you study, it's going to make you feel prepared. That's the best thing you can do. Switching gears, I don't know if this is applicable to either of you. Something that I wanted to advise to students was that they take courses outside of their major if possible.
Oh my God,
I had
yeah.
a lot of electives I could do in my course load because I was more communications business realm. So I was able to take some different science classes or different arts classes. And I think that made a really amazing college experience for me and help show me what I did like and what I didn't like. Were you able to do that in your college experience, or were your programs so strict that you didn't really have that wiggle room? Thanks for tuning in for how to make the most out of your college experience with Rece and Felicia. For more, make sure to tune in next week. As always, I'm Darian Alexis, and don't forget to survive and thrive.